Okay, so today we're looking at the pedigree of George and Ginny. Sorry, here it is. George and Ginny. Today we're looking at a recessive disease called ocular albinism. A recessive disease means that disease is only expressed when both alleles that make up the trait are recessive in lowercase. If even one dominant allele or uppercase letter is present, then the trait is not expressed at all. A carrier is someone who has one dominant allele and one recessive allele. This means that the individual person does not have the disease but can potentially pass it on to his or her offspring. Okay, so let's start with Ginny's great-grandparents. This is Ginny down here. This is her mother, this is her grandmother, this is her great-grandmother. Females in this pedigree are represented by circles, and men are represented by squares. People who are completely shaded in have the disease, have ocular albinism. People who are half shaded in are carriers, which we explained above. People who are only a quarter of the way shaded in, it's unknown. There's a possibility that they have a carrier, that they are a carrier, but they could be healthy. People who are completely blank, we know for sure, do not have the disease and are not carriers. Okay, so as you can see, Ginny's great-grandmother has the disease. Since Ginny's grandmother does not have the disease, we can conclude that her great-grandfather does not have it. But since her mom has it and her father doesn't, Ginny's mother is automatically going to be a carrier because she's getting one lowercase recessive allele from her mother and one dominant allele from her father. So she's automatically going to be a carrier with the possibility of passing it on to her offspring. So Ginny's grandmother is a carrier and her grandfather, again, is not. And we can conclude that because Ginny's mother does not have the disease, so Ginny's grandfather cannot be a carrier, because if they were both carriers, then she would have the disease. Anyway, so if we perform this cross, we get a 50% chance that Ginny's mother is a carrier, and we also get a 50% chance that Ginny's mother is not a carrier, which is, it's 50-50, so we really don't know. But let's just assume for a minute that Ginny's mother is a carrier, and she's paired with a healthy homozygous man who does not have the disease, then there's another 50% chance that Ginny would again be a carrier if her mother is a carrier. So, easy math there. We take 50% chance that Ginny's mother is a carrier, so there's 50% chance Ginny's mother is a carrier, and 50% chance that Ginny is a carrier given that, so there's a 25% chance in all that Ginny is a carrier and her mom is. So anyway, looking at Ginny marries George, who has the disease. He is recessive, and if Ginny is a carrier, 50% of their children will have the disease, regardless of gender, because we form a Punnett square, one boy, one girl have the disease. But if she's not a carrier, there's a 0% chance. All of their kids would be carriers, but there's nothing to worry about. And so again, there's a lot of odds there. If you multiply all the probabilities together, though, so 50% times 50% times 50%, there's only really a 12.5% chance of any of her children being affected, because you take 50% that this happens and 50% that this happens, 50% that this happens times 50% that this happens times 50% that this happens. That's only 12.5%. So it's not very likely that any of their kids will have the disease, because it's not very likely that Ginny is a carrier. So again, really we don't know for sure. We can't give you a definite answer just because it's all based on probabilities. But we'd say you're probably fine. There's not a huge chance it's going to happen, but again, we do caution you that it is a possibility. And thank you for listening to us, and we hope this has provided some comfort. Our next video is we're going to explain to you what ocular albinism is and what some of your options might be with the disease. Thank you.